Here we go. We are heading off to our elimination bracket semifinals. Money is on the line here, Squids and Octos. We know FLIPPA FLOPPA. Or dare I say, you know these players on the side of FLIPPA FLOPPA. We do have, of course, our legendary, infamous, top-tier Kyo, formerly of FT Win, as well as Naigora, who is the current world record holder of Splatoon X powers at a whopping 39,000. We also have Reimaru and Narada. The fantastic pickup. They have been absolutely decimating their opponents today, all including Starburst. Whoever loses this set, once again, we are sticking with our best of 3 format, is out. That is it. It is GG's. Whoever wins this, at the minimum, makes a little bit of coin. So, both teams looking for the victory here. They have not faced each other today. So very, very fresh eyes on both of these sets.
I'm very, very, very interested to see what FLIPPA FLOPPA can do against a brush comp. It proved to be too much for a lot of teams, and still, with it only being a best of 3, you don't have that time like you do in a best of 5 or even a best of 7 to really like think how we're gonna have to change up our game plan. Because if you don't change up your game plan just a little bit against a brush comp, then the brush comp will always tear you up.
And that's what fascinates me here is FLIPPA FLOPPA has faced Seafoam, Last Resort, Starburst, Alliance Rogue today. We know who these teams are. They're some of the best that we have. But regardless, there are also teams that run triple splash and machine, like Alliance Rogue. Starburst has been running the double, as Dura says, which is the double splash and double machine, or triple splash and one machine. Last Resort arguably having the most variable comps of the teams that I have said, being the Splatana Wiper and Splatana Stamper, maybe an Octobrush with a T-Tech or a Splash. So, up until this point, FLIPPA FLOPPA has only faced deep meta, with arguably the counter meta coming out from Last Resort. They have not faced a team like FLIPPA FLOPPA, but I'm sure, they have not faced a team like Robbe, but I'm sure Robbe's nervous, right? You see names like this in your bracket, you see names like this in your Battlefy, and your heart stops a little bit. You're like, oh my gosh, we're actually here. We're actually facing opponents of this level. Can we do it? No matter who you are, no matter how confident you are, there's no doubt in my mind that question is in theirs.
I feel like that question could be there, but I don't think it will be. They were facing Destiny Bond, and they were facing Destiny Bond at a match point scenario where they were losing a Rainmaker game with 10 seconds to go. They stared Destiny Bond in the face, one of North America's best teams, and said, we don't care, we're winning this. And then slapped them in the face with that Clan Blitz game. So, yes, this is a step up from Destiny Bond, this being the team that they're playing, FLIPPA FLOPPA. But they have that confidence. They have that
I disagree. And here's why I disagree. We just witnessed a best of 3 set, in which the lead was decided, except for the Clan Blitz Eeltail game, by an extremely narrow margin. If you're winning or losing by such a small amount, there's always that we can do it factor. But everyone knows who Kyo is. If you're a comp player, you know, and you watch the Japanese scene, you know who Naigora is. You know, like, there's just that esteem that comes against facing a pickup like this. And you know what you're expecting. You know it's going to be tough. Of course, Robbe can have complete faith in their abilities, but there's still that nerves factor. Because now money's on the line. Now we're talking about getting into grand finals. I have questions about what it would even feel like to compete at this level.
I know that from experience, being able to be under bright lights, not in Splatoon. Don't get me wrong. I'm a commentator. I don't play this game pro. But
those who can't play commentate.
yup, you know how it is. But I'm looking at Kyo. He's one of the most decorated players in North American Splatoon history. doesn't have like the world championships. That's about the only thing that's missing from Gio's cabinet. That's what
that is inevitable as well.
He knows what the spotlight does. He doesn't care. His confidence is off the charts. I was able to, luckily enough, to play against him, and his play style and just his mentality of going into every game is winnable, but also at the same time, you can't disrespect your opponents no matter who they are. Every single game that you play is just as losable as it is winnable. But then at the end of the day, he's like, I'm just better. You know, you just got the Kyo, shrug it off, and he's just better and walks away. And it's like the Kyo energy.
That level of confidence isn't in your head, it's in your blood. It's in everything you do. And,
I think it's in his afro.
You know, and I'm very curious to see. I apologize if I'm projecting a little bit. I'm curious to see if Robbe gets nervous. That's all. At the end of the day, is how nervous are you gonna get, and are those nerves gonna make you better, or are they gonna cost you games? Because some people do perform exceptionally under pressure. Some people pop off when they get nervous, and the team of Robbe and Tomodachi might be those people.
I would like to update everybody that we are no longer in a map. We're back into the counter-picking format. We have a set map to start. We are going to be starting here on, I believe it's, the Zones Museum, that game. But the rest of them are going to be counter-picks. If you're just tuning in after our refresh, the counter-picking format goes as follows. The losing team gets to pick any map mode combination that they want, as long as it's not the same map mode combination that's already happened in the set. And the winning team, if we go to the third match, can't go back to a mode that they've already won on. It can go back to the map. So say FLIPPA FLOPPA wins this game but loses game 2, they can go back to Museum but on Tower Control or Rainmaker, whatever's in the map pool.
So, Splat Zone's Mako Mart. I mean, oh my gosh, Splat Zone's Museum. I know what we're gonna be seeing out of FLIPPA FLOPPA. That Rapid Pro is just gonna do. Naigora plays heavy and plays rapids. And that's what we've been seeing so far a lot today. We have been seeing Naigora on either the Rapid or a Heavy, and then both Rei, Maru, and Karada on Splash, while Kyo is on Stamper. I don't expect much variation there. The Stamper just allows very extreme control and enables those splashes in order to get onto Plat. You get one of those splashes on Plat, you pop Crab, and you look forward. It is a look forward simulator, and the team that spends the longest amount of time on their opponent's Plat is going to take the game. Robbe and Tomodachi are a little bit of a wild card here because they just simply have been so variable. I know that we discussed the fact that Zers is possibly a Tetra player, but we haven't seen them play that yet. We've only seen Splash come out of them. And then Takobon on that try. How is that try going to be enabled here? Are we going to see that try, or are we going to see them on Splash yet again? I do expect to see that brush come out from Robbe, but how is it going to be used? Is it going to be trying to get onto their Plat, or is it going to be sharking that right side? These are my questions, Genie, and only these teams have the answers for me.
Yeah, I did watch FLIPPA FLOPPA's game yesterday that they had Stamper, Machine, Splash, and E-Liter, but that was against, that was very early on in group stage. I don't know if they were, it seemed like a pretty serious comp to me. The next game they followed up by playing Triple Machine, so I don't know how serious Machine was, but I'm going to go off of the E-Liter, Machine, Stamper, Splash comp on this exact map mode combination early on in the tournament is something we might be able to see. We're just waiting to see if everyone's going to join the room. We're just waiting on we got all the spectators in because we have two streams. We're just waiting on all these players to join. Just waiting on that.
Come on, guys. We've talked about your histories. We've talked about what sets you've won. We've talked about your weapon pool and the map.
Why don't we promote other Dapple events? Let's do that. I don't know if Majora has those. Let's talk about, let me pull up the Dapple calendar here while we're at it. We've got so many events. This February has been crazy. We had our 200th paddling pool, which is a tournament that happens every Wednesday. Starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's East Coast, USA. And then Tritons are alternating bi-weekly on our Fridays, which start at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then Saturdays bi-weekly are the Squid Junctions, which start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And those will continue on until Alice says, I don't want to run any more tournaments, which is something that's happened.
Imagine Alice ever doing that.
This isn't Alice's third tournament.
No, stop. Very talented, very gifted, very slick.
You have to respect your TOs, or else they burn out. No, seriously.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Be nice to your TOs, because if you want them to put on great, amazing events, you have to be nice to them. The moment that you have like an event that you just rip apart your TO is the moment that they leave, and then you realize, well, what do we have anymore? But we got everybody in the lobby. Let's go.
Yay! And I just want to say, your TOs are never above constructive criticism, but also don't make their job harder deliberately. Unnecessary. We respect our TOs. Clap for TOs. W in chat for TOs. But Robbe and Tomodachi versus FLIPPA FLOPPA coming to you right now as we have both teams queuing up in the lobby. We have everyone in the lobby. We are now on our weapon select screen. So we are seconds away from our losers finals.
Losers semifinals.
Semifinals. Thank you.
All good, yep. If everyone just tuning back in, we're getting back in here, we're getting in. We explained everything. There's nothing else to talk about, Skip. We are ready to go. Winner of this set gets the money. Not the money, but some of the money. At least the third place cut of the money. Loser gets fourth and has to feel like they were that close to it.
Yeah, but regardless, getting fourth in a tournament of this size is very impressive. We never want to dismiss anyone's accomplishments because everyone is here. Everyone showed up. The talent at each of these players' fingertips is startling and amazing and shocking and staggering, and there aren't enough adjectives in the world to describe how impressive these players are, and I can't wait to see them pop off here on Splat Zone's Museum as we load into the lobby. Now, we know what to expect from the comps of FLIPPA FLOPPA, and there we go. We see it. We see the double splash, the machine, and the stamper. But look at this counter comp on Robbe and Tomodachi. This is not something I was expecting. Double splash, stamper, and brush.
Yeah. We gotta see, the stamper is definitely picking up steam. Not a weapon that has been favored more recently. We're gonna see that crab tank early on from Sarah's. What can they find? Trying to get a lot of space with the burst bombs. They're coming in, just too many burst bombs. When you have 3 weapons with burst bombs, you know they're coming at you.
3 weapons with burst bombs and the chip from the machine, right? It's very easy for machines to finish off picks if everyone's bursted. Now we can see Robbe and Tomodachi, they're prepping for a flank here. They have this zone pinned, but they do lose a member. They lose 2. The poor brush is caught out up on that side alone, stuck in the barrel of a splash, and you can see them being collapsed on by the members of FLIPPA FLOPPA. So FLIPPA FLOPPA at this time having a sustained lock and hold here, having defeated Robbe's previous re-engagement, despite not having any members on their plat.
Oh, and that Booyah Bomb coming down very, very close. FLIPPA FLOPPA, they're so dominant in this game at the moment. But they've got to hold on because Robbe and Tomodachi, they're going to come in strong. They lose their stamper, though. FLIPPA FLOPPA, they're holding strong. They've got a crab tank at the ready. Kyo's going around, zipping all over the place, trying to cause a big distraction, and it's worked for their team. It's worked so darn well.
And here we go with 20 ticks remaining and 2 members down on the side of Robbe. FLIPPA FLOPPA is well positioned here for a KO. And there they go, 2 more picks down. There's just that Zipcaster caught in zone, but that Zipcaster is canceled as FLIPPA FLOPPA barrels for that KO, not even giving Robbe the chance to neutralize that zone in a 100-0 push, taking game 1 of our losers semifinals in a rather dominant and heavy-handed fashion.
I'm rather dominant. I was going to say extremely dominant. That felt like child's play almost. Definitely far from the team that we saw play against Destiny Mon just mere moments ago. Wow, I am gonna agree with you, Skep. I'm definitely worried about Robbe and Tomodachi's mental game here, because after a game like that, I'd be shaken.
Not only that, but you see a comp change, right? Whenever you see a team that's been playing a particular comp over the tournament or playing to a particular strategy and then they switch that's typically a sign of we're not going up against what we faced before. There needs to be a change. And that if you force another team to be so intimidated by you or whatever Robbe is thinking, to change their comp, that's a sign that wheels are turning, and that might be nerves. It also might be strategy. FLIPPA FLOPPA playing exactly the same way that they've been playing all day, and that's just simply being better. Despite being here in losers bracket, and they were sent down here by losers bracket, to losers bracket by Starburst. Just that chip that they're constantly able to keep in front of them, and that they're so accustomed to playing around, and you could see them swarming the members of Robbie whenever they even dared to drop. They were forcing those pins. They were using that chip together. Guarantee you those KAs are very high for everyone across the board, just due to chip sharing and assisting.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what the counter pick is gonna be. I feel like we might see a Clam Blitz coming out of Robbe and Tomodachi, but if you do that, you gotta watch out. You do not want to take Negra on that heavy spotting to a map that favors heavy. If I see Clam Blitz Scorch, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
Hagglefish, honestly. I would be concerned about Hagglefish. I honestly, given how Robbe and Tomodachi played last set, I want to see Eeltail. I want to see some clams or some Rainmaker Eeltail. Just because there's so many. Once you get into mid, there are so many like little blocks to like just zigzag around. So many little tiny like flanks and like ways to shift an opponent's line of sight. And I think that's something that Robbe and Tomodachi does very, very well. Obviously, FLIPPA FLOPPA, the advantage that they are going to have is their comms. If their comms can react enough to quickly adapt to those line of sight changes, that would counter that behavior from Robbe. But here we go with Splat Zone's Flounder. And speaking of ways to break an opponent's line of sight, there's nothing better than that than giant walls in the middle of the map.
I like this. I think it is a unique pick. It's a map that is very, very, very stark. If you either love it or hate it, there's no one. I've never met anyone that's like, Flounder, it's okay. It's like you either want to die because you love it so much, or you want to die because you don't want to play it. There's very little wiggle room. So I really hope that Robbe and Tomodachi have a game plan, knowing that FLIPPA FLOPPA is more or less just a glorified pickup to try and abuse a strategy against it.
My concern, and Robbe could be playing into this favorably, is that the team that wins the opening scrap wins the game, very typically. Because then at that point, all they need to do is look forward. And if FLIPPA FLOPPA gets enabled, if they cap that zone, and then they just say, oh, there's one coming here, there's one coming there, and then that's chip, 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 chip. And then Robbe is going to find themselves in a situation where they are unable to re-engage and break in. So if Robbe can get in there, cap, and then use that funny ink brush to play those walls, to play drop-ons, if you pick off the members of FLIPPA FLOPPA one by one, and this map facilitates breaking up the opposing team, then they can find themselves at a significant advantage due to the fast-paced nature of their comp.
Oh! They're up against the wall, lose, and you go home. Double slosher. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of fast pace, Robbe giving up that brush for the Dapple. So speaking of changing your comp because you need an adjustment of strategy, this is not something that we've seen from Robbe so far today. Bringing out those beacons. Those beacons are going to facilitate speed. They're going to enable Robbe to just simply keep running at them, possibly being faster than the dominant players that are FLIPPA FLOPPA. And this, to me, looks like Robbe might be the first to cap if they can deal with Kyo.
Yeah, but Kyo, we got to talk about Kyo on this Tri-Slosher. You don't get to see King Kyo on his Tri-Slosher very often. Haven't seen it in a long time. Well, I think these beacons, though, are going to prove to be just a little bit too strong, except that FLIPPA FLOPPA has destroyed them all. I can't believe you see Kyo on a Tri.
I can't believe that the beacons were destroyed that quickly. And look, the look forward simulator. They know that there's a member of Robbe to their right. There was. Oh, but he drops down. Okay, so that's being called out by the members of FLIPPA FLOPPA. You can see them hitting this way. And look, all they need to do is look forward. You can see that one of the splashes there is trying to deal with another one of the splashes up on that left side. Robbe constantly going a one staggered down. That's going to make them very difficult for them to break in despite this crab.
Yeah, they had a Zipcaster, they had a Crab. All they have left is a Tactical, and that's only going to make you go just a little bit faster. Every single time a member of Robbe and Tomodachi go down, this is dangerous because the clock keeps ticking down so fast. You're going to be trade out with the beacons. Hopefully they'll be able to come in clutch with that Tactical, and they will. But the zone, they're still ticking down. Robbe and Tomodachi, they have to find their way back into the zone. They're trying to paint. They're trying to get the members down on FLIPPA FLOPPA. What they've lost to in a 2v1 scenario, Wheel Bomb's coming out, trying to cap this zone. And FLIPPA FLOPPA, they're still being able to hold on, except they only have one member left. I finally think that Robbe Tomodachi. Wait, hold up, never mind. The Splash says, no, I've got two. They're going to paint the zone, and the zone still have not been capped. There's no penalty that's been applied. I cannot believe how long we've been going on with this fight.
Raymar, they're absolutely able to clean up, and it looks like Robbe and Tomodachi, they need to cap the zone. There we go. Now they can start getting some points on the board, and now they can start setting up those beacons again in order to enable this zombie comp, this run it down comp. And they have that Zipcaster. That Zipcaster going to be able to go in and create stim, create forward presence for that Inkjet to be able to capitalize on. But Robbe, this is the surprise, denying the KO from FLIPPA FLOPPA here and having special advantage at the moment.
Oh, but they lose their Tri-Slasher immediately as soon as they go for an Inkjet. Kyo's going to show how an Inkjet is used. Can they find anything? No, they find a Crab Tank. They're just trying to stay alive, trying to get the spots. Wheel Bombs out. Will Robbe and Tomodachi hold on to the zone, or will the penalty be applied? Looks like no. Kind of FLIPPA FLOPPA's getting back in, though. The beacons, they're still alive. I don't think there's anyone jumping to them, though.
Okay, and there's the cap for FLIPPA FLOPPA. Kyo getting the player that was trying to cancel his jump, now only having to once again look forward. This time they don't have to do it for nearly as long because that penalty and those points are not nearly as significant. Two members down and a DC on the side of Robbe, but it's beyond our DC replay rules, Genie.
Oh, that is a devastating way to lose, and that would just honestly shatter your mental. You know you have to climb up a large hill, which is this map. But hold up, timeout. There's still time left. This no, never mind. You get one spot, you get hope, and it's all just taken away by FLIPPA FLOPPA as the penalty is slowly but surely being chipped away.
Having to consistently fight at this disadvantage of already having one player down against a team that's just going to pick you off one by one is such a devastating and tragic blow for Robbe as FLIPPA FLOPPA does take the game. The victory deserved. FLIPPA FLOPPA, an incredibly talented team, but you genuinely hate to see it.
Yeah, sometimes Nintendo moments can happen. We wish they didn't happen, but that's the name of any game. There's always technical issues, no matter how high up you go. A completely well-deserved win for FLIPPA FLOPPA. That would sting so much. You know you're that close for Robbe and Tomodachi to that money, and you'll lose because you were already losing, but then it gets sealed by a disconnect. That hurts.
It does. But regardless, congratulations to Robbe and Tomodachi for their fantastic run over the course of these 2 days. Don't forget who they defeated. They took Starburst to a game 5, and they did defeat Last Resort here today. So those are very, very fabulous results. But here we go moving forward. Before I pass it off to Jem, our next will be FLIPPA FLOPPA versus Kagura. And what makes this set so particularly special is the fact that both of these teams were eliminated by Starburst.
So taking a quick look at the matches that we've got here, fairly quick and fairly dominant. FLIPPA FLOPPA definitely showing up. And what I want to point out is the way that FLIPPA FLOPPA was able to handle the overwhelming aggression that Robbe and Tomo were able to put together. Unlike with the match against Destiny Bond, with all of this chip damage that FLIPPA FLOPPA has and all of the ability to play their range, they are isolating the individual members of Robbe and Tomo. They're finding one person and diving everybody on top of them, getting them down, and then using that advantage. They do the classic play of staggering the enemy team. Robbe gets called out on the left, everybody comes over to the left and wipes out Robbe. They're just moving around in a gank squad, going after each one of these members one by one. And so there's never enough paint that's alive on the map to be able to cap the zone. And this is just one of the fastest 0 to KOs that you can watch in Splat Zone. So ultimately, Robbe and Tomo decide to go back to another Splat Zones map, And you can see, where this map would play into their playstyle. Like was mentioned, this is another zombie comp. This is a tacticaler comp with beacons. And beacons are going to be really powerful on any map that's this big. But something that's just incredible about this is just how quickly, like the casters pointed out, FLIPPA FLOPPA are getting rid of these beacons when they have advantage. There's no place for Robbe and Tomo to jump into. They can't take advantage of like half of what makes this zombie comp work. And so it takes them a little while to get in. They finally are able to hold for a little bit, but with such short-range weapons, they really need to be pushing up a little bit further than they end up doing when they have control. And so, because they're not able to keep the enemy team pushed back as far as they need to, the zone just stays uncapped for this incredible amount of time. And then, the tragedy of all tragedies, it wasn't looking very good anyway, but being a player down, you never like to see that. That's a really unfortunate way for it to go. It is unfortunately necessary due to the way that the tournament rules work. You can't have people trying to disconnect just to dodge a loss. So at a certain point, you do have to say, sorry, we really can't let you back in after that. But still, definitely, a tragedy, because that the top teams, they're not really trying to do that. They're trying to win it, and so can't feel good for the side of FLIPPA FLOPPA too much on that second game either. But even so, I am really looking forward to seeing what FLIPPA FLOPPA is able to do against Kagura. I think I give the edge to FLIPPA FLOPPA here, but it would be an awesome thing to watch to see Kagura getting a shot at Starburst as well. Because I think both of these teams have really earned that shot at Starburst, but Starburst sitting pretty on the winner's side. Whew. Maybe we are going to have a North American champion at this major here. That would be exciting.